and welcome. I'm Ijoma Onyato. Tonight, mixed reactions from federal lawmakers trail President Buhari's declaration of intention to seek re-election. Chief of Army Staff reads Riot Act to officers and soldiers, threatens to have soldiers compromised by politicians during elections tried. Federal government sets up situation room for easy monitoring of internal security situation in the country and quick response. And US President Donald Trump cancels first official trip to Latin America in order to focus on suspected chemical attack in Syria.
On business news tonight, federal government recovers 29 billion naira worth of taxes in 5 months as FIRS and EFCC partner to track more defaulters.
On sports news, Team Nigeria para-powerlifters strike 4 gold and 2 silver in the medal haul at the Commonwealth Games to 8.
And from Abuja, President Buhari writes Senate seeking confirmation of nominees for Federal Judicial Service Commission and National Population Commission.
Let's start off once again, apologies for that, and we'll be beginning tonight with the mixed reactions among federal lawmakers to President Muhammadu Buhari's announcement that he will be seeking re-election next year. On Monday, the president told the National Executive Committee of the All Progressives Congress that he will be contesting the presidential election in 2019. While opposition lawmakers believe the president was pushed into taking that decision, APC legislators insist he did it at his own time. Our correspondent Terry Ikumi reports.
President Buhari needs a dignified and honorable dismount from the horse. He needs to have time to reflect, refurbish physically and recoup, and after appropriate rest, once again join the stock of Nigerian leaders whose experience, influence, wisdom and outreach can be deployed on the sideline for the good of the country. Those are the words of former President Olusegun Obasanjo in his 13-page statement earlier this year, urging the president not to seek re-election. But that did not stop the president from taking another shot at the #1 position in the land. Lawmakers have just resumed from their Easter break, and it is quite clear where the divide is with regard to the president's declaration.
He does have the constitutional right to contest for re-election, to aspire. He's a Nigerian.
Buhari in 2018 running election is not going to be the Buhari of 2015 running election.
It might seem that President Buhari's decision to seek a second term was expected, but a lawmaker from the opposition People's Democratic Party is of the opinion that he was pushed into making the decision. Recall that Governor Nasir El-Rufai earlier this year led some governors to the presidential villa asking President Buhari to seek re-election. And Governor Umar Ganduje also threatened to take legal action against the president if he refused to seek re-election.
If we have a president that has been in and out of hospital for these first 4 years, maybe it wouldn't have been the right thing for him to desire to run again if he is solely responsible for his decision. But I must say that I'm very convinced that he's not solely responsible for his decision.
APC lawmakers, on the other hand, do not share this sentiment. They believe the president declared his intention at his own time and deserves a second term.
I don't think he was pushed. He was asked by the governors, by the APC governors, to contest, and he said, "Give me a time, I will think about it."
As a politician, this is a good development. It is better for him to come out early so that people will know that he's contesting, and to stabilize the politics.
The conversation will definitely continue until February 2019 over whether or not there is a suitable candidate to defeat President Buhari or whether he has lost favor with the masses. But as a citizen of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Buhari is constitutionally permitted to vote and be voted for. He is also in his rights to seek election for a period of 2 terms, half of which he has almost covered. Terry Ikumi, Channels Television News.
Thank you very much. In the meantime, the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Tukur Buratai, has read the Riot Act to soldiers and officers of the Nigerian Army over their conduct. General Buratai, who was at the first quarter conference of the Nigerian Army, warned that any soldier falling short in the discharge of his duties will be severely dealt with. According to the Army Chief, the unity and integrity of Nigeria lies with the military, and all Army personnel must avoid any act that would compromise this responsibility.
It's the first quarterly conference of the Nigerian Army for the year 2018, drawing principal officers, commanders and soldiers to appraise the operations of the Nigerian Army in the first quarter. But this particular meeting seems to be one for some house cleaning. First, the Chief of Army Staff reads the Riot Act to commanders in different fields of operations in the country on their conduct and that of their personnel.
The attitude of commanders in the field must change, especially towards decision-making and taking appropriate action in line with the rules of engagement. In this regard, issues of murder, arson, and other serious crimes perpetrated by ethnic and local militias, criminals, and miscreants must be dealt with decisively. Commanders will be held responsible for any lapses arising from their actions or inaction.
It is also not lost on the Army Chief that the elections are near, and in view of this, he has a message for commissioned and non-commissioned officers of the Nigerian Army.
You are all enjoined to continue to remind officers and soldiers under command to remain non-partisan and be guided by the stipulated code of conduct and rules of engagement in the discharge of their duties, particularly in the coming 2019 general elections. Furthermore, Nigerian Army personnel in any capacity who receives any form of inducement from politicians, public or private entities, knowingly or unknowingly, will be severely punished. Both the giver and the taker of such inducement will be investigated and appropriately sanctioned.
The Nigerian Army has come under a lot of criticisms in recent times with regards to their conduct, and this may be an attempt to do house cleaning. Amaka Okafor, Channels Television News.
The Independent National Electoral Commission has promised that the Ekiti State governorship election holding on July the 14th will be a model of what a free and fair poll should look like, but stakeholders have a lot to do. This pledge was made at a stakeholders forum on voter registration in the state, which had the Deputy Governor of Ekiti State, political parties and the electorate in attendance.
As preparations for the 2019 elections gear up, the expectation of the electorate is that the process will be devoid of controversy.
Now I'm on the preamble.
And the promise of a free and fair election is what the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, is promising this gathering in Ekiti State. After stakeholders share their experiences of past elections and their hope for the future, the INEC commissioner stationed in Ekiti State allays all fears of misconduct.
Because of the fact that there were differences in the mode in which people spoke, the tone, you will see that they were all saying one thing. let us have a neat, clear election in Ekiti. And on that, they have a very willing partner in INEC.
The APC is pleased with INEC's vow to make the election violence-free.
And INEC, with what they are saying here, they are determined to nip every form of harassment, oppression from any government or political party in the board.
For this PDP chieftain, his party will take the assurance given by INEC in good faith, but will remain cautious of the wiles of the opposition.
They have promised us there will be level playing ground. They have promised that they will be fair to all. But the important thing, the rumor here is that they are mobilizing from Abuja to intimidate the party leaders in PDP. But I want to assure you, we are ready in Ekiti. We want to vote, and voting our candidate who I'm sure will become the next governor of Ekiti State, because we have worked very hard.
The Deputy Governor of Ekiti State lends his voice to the matter by calling on the people to get registered.
The representative for the people, different segments of this community, Ekiti people have been represented there, and they have been properly educated on what they need to know about this continual voters registration. And I think we are going back again now to sensitize our people the more, so that more people can come out within the next 6 days to also be part of the election.
As the registration of voters continues in Ekiti State, this sensitization exercise is expected to douse any misgivings the people may have towards the Commission about making their votes count.
And staying with election matters, Nigeria's former president, Goodluck Jonathan, is adding his voice to the clamour for the country to be led by a youth if it's to experience sustainable growth. According to Dr. Jonathan, society is driven by brains in a leader who has energy and is not easily distracted, qualities that can only be found amongst the younger generation. He was speaking in Yenagoa, the Bayelsa state capital, when members of the Young Leaders Professionals of Nigeria paid him a visit.
A note of endorsement for the youth to take over the leadership of the country, coming from a two-time leader, Chief Olusegun Obasanjo. That was a little over a week ago. And now the aspiring young leaders seek the support of another former president. Dr. Goodluck Jonathan receives his young and youthful visitors under the auspices of the Young Professional Leaders of Nigeria in his home in Yenagoa, the Bayelsa state capital.
Thank you.
After the exchange of pleasantries, the leader of the youth delegation states their mission.
We're here to seek your blessings, to seek your support, and to seek your advice, in this journey that we have collectively agreed that we are going to come up with. Your Excellency, to be very frank, it is our dreams and aspirations that come 2019, we are going to produce a young president come 2019.
Apparently impressed, the immediate past president offers a physical demonstration of his support for their quest to take over the leadership of the country come 2019.
I still believe that it's the young people that can take this country to the moon. If we must go to the moon, it's not me. It's not Baba Obasanjo or President IBB. We are gone. It's the young people like you. And we must prepare that young generation.
However, Dr. Jonathan also sounds a note of caution for the youth to the effect that they must demonstrate a high sense of responsibility and shun those vices they are known for if they are to be taken seriously.
So the issue of courtesan, the issue of maybe hired killers, the issue of terror, kidnapping, it's not all people like me that can enter the bush to go and stay with people for 2 weeks. They are very young people, some of them so innocent. So how do the young people, a group like you, who have been able to get out of that level, how do you create platforms to reorient the thinking?
With a groundswell of intention by the young ones and the support they have so far received from some elder statesmen, what may be next is probably a formidable political platform from which the leaders of tomorrow can translate intent into reality.
In part two, after the break, National Civil Aviation Authority cautions pilots to exercise maximum restraint in adverse weather as rainy season kicks in. That's in a moment. Please stay with us.